only because I challenge the audience's imagination, and sometimes that's a dangerous thing to do. If you actually get inside of a person's mind and make them think, that scares them.
Okay, let's get this one out of the way right away, because a lot of people are worried about the impact that an Alice Cooper concert has on impressionable minds.
Impressionable. The kids are a lot smarter than their parents when it comes to rock and roll.
They know that it's
I'm surprised at their parents on a lot of places, because their parents used to come and see me. And their parents turned out fine, I think. You know, they're a lot more closed-minded than I'd hoped they would have been. But, you know, it's the kind of thing where the audience, if I do mock violence on stage, if Alice is going to do a nightmare on stage in 1987, it wouldn't be the same nightmare that he did in 75. It wouldn't be that calm. It would be a nightmare of the times. So it would be a lot more splatter-oriented. It would be much more Nightmare on Elm Street. It would be more cinematic. It wouldn't be the gothic kind of monsters coming out. These monsters would be more believable.
Would you rather win an Oscar or a Grammy? I mean, I have a feeling that it's an Oscar.
I think so. I think an Oscar. I think there's going to have to be a new category. Not a Tony. I guess it'd have to be in my case, it would have to be a Bloody or a Gory or something like that. A Gory award would be great.
Can I ask you why you came back on the road? Why you decided to...
Well, first of all, I stopped drinking about 3 years ago. And I got so much energy.
And you realized you weren't on the road.
Yeah, I realized that, hey, I'm not in a Holiday Inn. When I say you're right, it's almost true. Because I had done 13 years straight on the road, you know. And I stopped drinking, and suddenly I had all this energy. And I said, wait a minute, I'm 35 years old, and I'm retired, you know. I didn't really need the money, but there was this thing of going back and doing it straight then, and doing it, you know, with a lot more energy. This show now is twice the energy of any show I've ever done.
Is it as much fun doing it sober?
It's more fun. It's twice as much fun doing it sober, because I have control of it now. It's in focus. Before, it was fun, and it was out of focus. And the audience liked it because they liked Alice a little bit tipsy. They liked the idea that Alice was a little bit out of control. Yeah. You know, it was like, yeah, come on. You know, but now it's like, come here. Yeah. It's sharp, and it's fast, and there's energy all the way through it. The audience likes it even more now.
I think a bit of that happened with Janis Joplin, too, don't you think? I mean, there's something that the audience likes seeing you self-destruct.
There is.
That kind of personality.
Very true. There's a certain relief to seeing somebody up there in the public eye destructing in front of them. I don't know what it is. Yeah. I don't know why that is, but that's a human kind of thing, you know.
You've been at horror for a long time now, and I guess you must have thought about it. I mean, why is it that people like it so much, do you think?
Because people have fun being scared. They have as much fun being scared as they have laughing. I do. I like going. In fact, I wish there were more movies that were actually scary. I think most of your horror movies are funny, you know.
Yeah, it's the psychological ones that are...
Yeah, a movie like In Cold Blood, to me, was a much more frightening movie than Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean like a shock value of somebody jumping out. That's a whole different thing. That's great. That's fun. That's drive-in stuff, you know. Yeah. But when something is like more real, a movie like Killing Fields is a more frightening movie, because you sit there and you go, that's real. That bullet really did go through that guy. And, you know, those are, The News is more frightening than a horror movie.
No, I read somewhere that, just to go back to those days on the road, the first time around, that, I mean, you went 2 years and you said you really don't remember a whole lot.
Oh, there were maybe more than 2 years. I remember little parts of it. But all I remember is going on stage, drinking Canadian whiskey, by the way, good whiskey. I only drank Canadian whiskey because it never gave me hangovers. I don't know if that's going to boost their sales or not.
Somehow, I don't know.
I don't know. I stopped
Alice
drinking.
Cooper for...
Seagrams went like that, you know. What were we talking about?
Well, about what it was like to be drunk that long.
Well, I wasn't really drunk that long. I was on a buzz for about 10 years. I never got drunk. I never slurred my words. I never walked, you know. If I would have been, you know, I mean, if I would have been driving, it certainly would have taken me in, you know. But it's the kind of thing where I just lived on a buzz. I had such a high tolerance at a certain point from constant drinking, not from just sitting there and I'm going to down a bottle of whiskey. This was from 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, on. Yeah. And I'd just sip a little bit, you know.
Do you know, I mean, I suppose...
It was a drug. It was a total drug. I mean, I consider it, I had a total drug dependency, and that was alcohol.
I don't know if there's an answer to why, but because I got the impression that you were as, disgusted is too strong a word, but you weren't exactly pleased that the kids were getting off on what you were doing. Is that wrong?
No, I liked that they came there for the show. They came there for the music. They came there because Alice was the epitome of everything their parents hated, and in a lot of cases still is. You know,
But
Alice
you're a parent now.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. You know, that doesn't really matter. I'm still 17 in my brain. You know, I can still write an anthem that really is an angst anthem. A song like Teenage Frankenstein. Maybe I really lived there for an awful... When I do 18 every night on stage, I believe it. I take the crutch and I raise it up and I go, I'm 18 and I like it.
And the kids believe it too.
And yeah, because I believe it. You know, when I do School's Out, I totally revel in the fact that school is out. And I'm glad to be out of school. And I think that I have to believe it in order for them to believe it.
See, Bob Greene wrote an article in Esquire that I think led a lot of
The
people...
perennial yuppie of all time, Bob Greene.
Yeah, and that article, a lot of people believed from that article that you weren't believing it anymore, raising your fist and saying,
Lucky for me that my audience doesn't read Esquire, because he was writing that for, you know, to please himself. He didn't want me to go back out on the road and be devastating anymore. He didn't like the idea that I was going to go out on the road and cause trouble again. Just by me going out on the road, it's going to cause controversy, like last night in Fredericton. You know, all we did was showed up, and it was like, oh no, Canada's going to sink in the ocean. He's here again. You know, I mean, it was amazing, the amount of press, because they thought I was going to take a 19-foot boa and chase the city council around, you know.
What was it, 15 foot?
Great, it was 15 foot, and I only chased half of them around.
So you still love digging,
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, sticking it in and saying,
absolutely, because
take this.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I'm 39, if I got two kids.
It doesn't matter, because, you know, Alice Cooper is a timeless character. Alice Cooper is his time. You don't care how old Jason is in the Friday the 13th movies. You know, as long as I can go up on stage and get the audience to do that for 2 hours and mean it, that's when I'll keep doing it. The day I can't do that, then I won't be on the road.
What happens when Vince doesn't like Alice?
Oh, that happened already. That was
Vince
the big
doesn't
conflict.
like Alice?
That was the conflict when I was drinking. The two characters, the Dr. Frankenstein and the monster, were totally at odds with each other. The doctor here was blaming the creature for all of his problems. And it wasn't really true. I mean, when you think of it, Alice, the character Alice, never drank at all. He was on stage. He only lived 2 hours a night. He didn't have time to drink. So who was the problem? It was the creator. It was the problem.
And that's all settled.
So now that I can live with both people, you know, I can be Alice. You know, I can sit here and be Alice and not be worried about it. I have confidence in Alice on stage now.
And in Vince.
And in Vince. Yeah, I never use the name Vince anymore. Actually, my real name is Alice Cooper Mellencamp. But I changed it because I heard somebody was going to use that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mellencamp. Great pleasure meeting you.
Smart cookie, huh?
Well, a very nice guy, smart guy, but if I was a parent, I still would be worried that my kid couldn't make the difference, that it wasn't just theatrics. But yeah, good showman.
We'll be back with Supernova.